Hey, Crimson Tide fans, we are live in Whitewater, Wisconsin for the Men's National Intercollegiate Wheelchair Basketball Tournament. It's another Alabama Adapted Athletics Coaches Show. I'm Dom Taylor. With me to preview the men's NIWBT is men's team head coach for the Crimson Tide, Ford Burttram. Coach, we're in freezing Whitewater, Wisconsin. We are inside our hotel right now, but we've had our fair share of snow already. I know I've been hit with the snowball a couple times. You've been hit with the snowball a couple times already. I know it's not your favorite thing in the world, but hey, you know what? You know what is fun is competing for a national championship. So here we are.
Yeah, when in Rome, right? When in Rome, when there's snow on the ground and you got a bunch of guys that aren't used to being around snow, there's going to be snow thrown. So, no, man, I'm happy to be here, and thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's always a pleasure to do these shows, and this is one of my last. We're getting close to being the end of the era here of me and with Alabama Adapted Athletics. So it's been a pleasure. Before we start this thing off, to just say doing these shows with you has been it's been a pleasure.
Hey, Dom, man, we thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. We had a brief talk about it yesterday, but I mean it, man. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. It is 100% my honor. And before we begin this show, always want to thank Honey Stinger, the sponsor of the Alabama Adapted Athletics Coaches Show. Honey Stinger is a sports nutrition brand that uses natural sweeteners in their products. Their products will assist our athletes in preparation, performance, and recovery for all competition this season. Try out the Honey Stinger Oat and Honey Bars, one of their new products that we just recently tried, as well as the Waffle Bars and the Energy Chews available in retail stores. Thank you so much, Honey Stinger, for sponsoring the Alabama Adapted Athletics Coaches Show. Coach, the NIWBT, it is the cap of the season, finalizes a full year of preparation and performance for our athletes. This is the men's bracket and Whitewater, Wisconsin. As I've said, 2023, we'll see in a couple days who's going to be crowned the champion of this season of wheelchair basketball. You focused on the task at hand for this whole season. I know you're not one to really go back. You're focused on the present and the now. But in terms of this team, where they started off, the development that you've seen from them, beginning this semester with a very close loss to the number one seed right now, Arizona, and then racking up 12 straight wins after that. You've seen this team develop, change, and kind of find themselves. Can you talk about how they've developed since the beginning of this semester to where they are right now getting prepared to face potentially either SUNY or Missouri tonight?
Well, I think it's more of a overall year concept, right? So we want to peak in March, and I think that we're close to there, if we're not there, for the peak of this team. And I think that a tough loss to start the semester only builds character, right? So I think that they've really developed their sense of pride, and their character has developed throughout the semester, and their sense of togetherness has really developed, and they understand what they're up against, and they understand what we're looking at, and they understand that it's the end of the year. So they're ready to put it all on the line and give me everything they got.
And as I just mentioned a few minutes ago, Missouri and SUNY, those are going to be the two teams that potentially the Crimson Tide might play tonight, depending on the winner of that game in just a couple hours. And both of these teams you faced already this year. When you faced Missouri, it was last semester, and their full roster wasn't at hand when you played them. And so there's some things that you'll have to potentially just try to talk about and figure out and film, depending on who that opponent might be. But talk about what each of these teams present in terms of a challenge for the Crimson Tide if they want to move on from the quarterfinal today.
Well, so they both present very different challenges. One's based around a single player who's really good at scoring and kind of running their program for them, and the other one is kind of more multi-tasked sort of. A couple of different people lead them, so I think depending on who we see, it depends on how we focus and what we focus our strengths and our weaknesses on as we get ready to draw up our game plan. I think both of them present great opportunities for us to get better and for us to really put our hard hats on and get to work. So I'm excited for what comes at 8 p.m. this evening, and we shall see who we get to battle against.
And just a quick note about that, again, Whitewater is providing all live streams for those games. We will be doing a radio broadcast of that. I'll be on the call as well as Ryan Hines, who's going to be doing color for us tonight. So that radio call will be on BamaAdapted.com to listen, not to watch. The full live stream in terms of visuals will be available on the Whitewater website. But again, that at 8 o'clock tonight. Coach, moving on to visualization, that was something that you talked about just a little bit ago in the team meeting with the players. You said visualize, visualize, visualize. You stressed that. And it's an interesting concept that I actually haven't heard you talk about before. But if you want to, would you mind kind of diving into that? What makes that so important for the players to visualize themselves in terms of success, what their jobs are at any given moment on the court?
Well, so for me, visualization is a concept that we talk about on a regular basis, and it is where you got to envision things going the worst, right? And how do you make your team better when things are all going sideways? And then you got to envision the best and how you keep your team from doing the wrong things when everything's going your way. So I think there's different aspects to it, but I think that when you sit back and you think of a play and you think of how you've done things in practice and you think of how we've done things over and over repetitively, and for our older guys, they've seen enough high-level basketball to know, hey, if this happens, then this is the next play, and then this is what's the next read. And for the younger guys, it's kind of visualizing those things and seeing them happen in slow motion in your mind. And then when you get on the court and they happen, and you just have this aha moment, like, I spoke this into existence, and this is how I'm going to attack it. So I really am a big proponent of making sure that we visualize both worst case scenario and best case scenario, and usually it falls somewhere in the middle, right? So, but if things go really bad, then we're prepared for them, and if things go really good, then we're prepared for handling it the right way. So that's why we talk about visualization, and that's the aspects in which I wish they focused on.
I think it's a concept that's they'll definitely have to put into play here this week. Absolutely, just with how many different situations are going to be put in with these different teams. It was something that I know you never really could expect that what was going to happen when I was here last year or when I was at Nationals last year at UTA. And I like that concept. It was something that I really keyed into this morning, and it's very interesting. It'll be something to keep in mind, and as we kind of go through these next games, the next couple days, and then this idea of mental toughness for a long tournament travel. Nationals is going to be 5 straight days. Obviously, the bus ride up here is 14 hours. It took a little bit longer than that by a couple hours for various reasons, but going from Alabama to Wisconsin is not an easy journey. And, we're one of the teams that traveled the farthest just because we didn't fly. And, there's a lot to kind of pace yourself in terms of energy over the next few days. And then you have to unleash it on the court and be your absolute best at night, right? So there's this whole build-up since our games are 8 o'clock. It's a different schedule than what we're used to. And just talk about what your players need to do to have success, to really, centralize it, stay loose, stay not let fatigue creep up on them. What are the things that they need to do in the everyday for the next few days to make sure that they're ready to compete at the highest level?
They need to have fun. They need to enjoy themselves. They need to get rest. They need to stay awake and mentally alert. And they need to enjoy the moment, man, not let the moment be bigger than them, and be present for the last time together with this team. And that is something we've been preaching for a couple of weeks, and we've had a countdown on the board in the locker room, and it's a special group. Very blessed to have a special group with us, and they need to really enjoy each other's as being this group right now. And so I think those sort of things, and then when it's game time, they'll be ready for game time. They're a good group that way. So they just need to be focused on being present in the moment and not looking forward to what could happen, being here for what is happening.
And then finally, Coach, one of the things that I've loved about this team is all the different backgrounds that this team has and their ability to still kind of, rib each other, have fun with each other, but then to put it all away and go on the court and dominate. And that's been on display for me all season. But you've got players from different countries internationally. You've got players of all age groups. And they still find a way to really, come together. There is a brotherhood with this team this year from my observations. And I don't know if you could kind of add a final note to that of just this team's ability to come together, how they act as a brotherhood, and really just go out there and enjoy competing with each other.
Family, man. They give each other the hardest times possible, but they close ranks when somebody else tries to give them a hard time. So very protective of each other and very willing to sacrifice for each other too. And I think that's a big part of being a family and doing things the right way and caring about those that are around you all the time. So to hear you say that and to watch it develop myself means that we're doing something right somewhere along the way. So very blessed to have this group that we have and ready to watch them compete.
And I'm certainly ready as well. I think all of our fan base is ready as well. Tonight at 8 o'clock, the quarterfinals of the Men's National Intercollegiate Wheelchair Basketball Tournament, the Crimson Tide playing in that. And again, that will be against either the City University of New York or Missouri. That'll be figured out in a couple hours' time. But up until then, we've got a little bit of waiting to do. We've got some meals and some rest and recuperation, and the Crimson Tide will be ready to go at 8 o'clock tonight. That does it for this preview of the NIWBT, the Alabama Adapted Athletics Coaches Show. Thank you to all of our sponsors, Honey Stinger, Hollister, RGK, Jalapenos, Physio Elite, ABC Medical, Truist, WVUA, Powerade, and everybody that sponsors the program. Links to the broadcast of the men's NIWBT are available on the University of Wisconsin Whitewater Wheelchair Basketball website, but of course the radio broadcast, as I mentioned, on the Alabama Adapted Athletics Watch Listen tab tonight at 8 p.m. Follow us on socials, Alabama Adapted, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, and have a great day wherever you may be watching or listening from, and Roll Tide.